Hello everybody, welcome to my chess channel, and today I'm going to show you a game that I played just a while back, and I'm playing white. I start with my king pawn. He starts with his king pawn. I move my knight forward. Then he also moves his knight forward on the queen side. And then I bring my bishop forward for the Italian opening game. He responds by moving his pawn forward, and what it does is it activates his bishop, and so his bishop is coming long down my king side, and it is exerting a very strong threat in this region. So I thought that I have to do something. So what I do, I basically move my pawn forward to prevent his bishop from coming towards me, and this is what I have done. And he responds by moving his pawn forward, attacking towards the center, and I have to protect my pawn, otherwise he will eat my pawn. Not only he will eat my pawn, but also he will exert pressure on my knight. So I have to do something. I have to protect my pawn, so I have to move the other knight forward. That is the best way of protecting the pawn, I thought, and this is what I have done. He eats my pawn, I hit his pawn back, and so far things are going pretty well for me. I'm quite happy because I'm having a lot of influence in the middle of the chessboard, and not only that, my two knights are in the middle, and they are exerting a lot of pressure on various key positions. So his bishop comes down to do something about my knight, because there are too much influence right now from my side, and I have to move my knight from the bishop's path, otherwise the bishop is going to eat me. So I have to do something. So I have moved my knight from his bishop's path, and I go towards the right side, keeping in mind that his queen cannot eat my knight because the other knight of mine is protecting the first knight. He moves his pawn more towards my area and attacking my knight, but then this is the time I thought that there is a nice opportunity for a double attack. So I place my the knight which is ahead in the chessboard, I mean which is in the top position. So I move it towards this white square which does a double attack on his queen and on his rook. So immediately he takes the preventive action. He moves his queen and brings it just towards the in front of his king. Right now I know that he will not be able to eat my knight because the bishop is protecting it. That is why. So I can concentrate on the other part of the chessboard. So I move the knight away from here so that his pawn cannot eat me anymore. But I have moved towards the corner. My knight has moved toward the corner of the chessboard, which is not a very good place for a knight to be. But then sometimes you have to do that. Now I thought this move of his, wherein he aligns his bishop with my knight and my bishop, is a pretty good move. It weakens my double attack. So without wasting further time, I eat his rook. Pretty much in mind, I know that he can eat my bishop, but then I think rook is more powerful than bishop, so I let go of my bishop. But I take his rook. He takes my bishop. Then I move my knight forward, because as I told you, I do not want both my knights to be lying idle at the corners. Corners are not a good place for knight. He does castling. I put pressure on his bishop. He has to do something to his bishop now, otherwise my pawn will eat his bishop. But he makes it wait there, attacking my knight. I bring my other knight forward, and the thought that was there in my mind now was that it will attack his queen and he has to do something to his queen. He cannot eat my knight with his pawn because otherwise I will eat his queen. So he will do something to his queen. That was the idea that I had. So he moves his queen from that place and he does a mistake. While moving his queen, he kept into consideration one of my knights but not the other knight. That was a costly mistake that he has done. I do not waste opportunity. I immediately gobble up his queen. And at this point, I should say, I am in a very strong position. I feel pretty confident now. So I wait for him to make his move and he moves back with his bishop. Because he doesn't want it to be eaten by the pawn, obviously. But right now, both of my knights are under attack. So I have to do something. I know both of my knights. I cannot save both of my knights. I have to let go of one. Which one? That is the question. The one that I let go of, the other knight, that should be able to fetch me a power from his pieces. So I move one of my knights and put pressure on his bishop. He eats my knight with one of his knights and I eat his bishop. Not only I eat his bishop, but also now I will be exerting pressure on his rook. So he has to move his rook to a place of safety, and the right place he thought was at the center, and that will have more influence at the center of the chessboard as well. He does that. I move my knight with the idea that I should do something about his center pawn, because pawn in itself is not that powerful, but in some key positions they are pretty powerful. So that was my idea. He supports his middle pawn even further with his other pawn. Here you go. And then I do castling, because castling I had to do at some point in time and it was pretty late, but then better late than never. Okay, so how does he respond? He brings his bishop more towards the center. Now it is attacking my pawn near the king. And right at this point in time, I thought it is a good opportunity for me to place the only bishop that I have at a place which will have the strongest influence and which is the center diagonal, the longest diagonal. And that is exactly what I have done here. And let's see what it does in response. He brings his rook at the center. And the thought behind was he wanted to attack my knight, but then he did a mistake. He did a second big mistake and he forgot that my diagonal was my bishop was there at the longest diagonal and it will eat his rook. Right at this point in time, his case was pretty hopeless and he didn't have many other options. So he resigned at this point in time, and that ends this game. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a very good day.